I'm Jasmine. Thank you so much for watching Once an Orphan. Joining me today is Miss Christa Martinez, a social worker for the past 11 years, currently a doctoral candidate in the field of social work. She is a foster care alumni. She is a member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She is currently a program director of an agency serving foster care youth and homeless youth. She is also a public speaker, and we can add so much more to her name. Thank you so much for joining me today, Miss Christa Martinez. How are you?
I'm well. Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much. You have accomplished so much at such a young age. Hats off to you, and congratulations on getting ready to complete your doctoral degree. And all of those things that you're doing are just amazing. And I thank you so much for serving in the capacity that you serve. As we've already discussed, you are a foster care alumni, correct?
Correct.
All right. So let's talk about your earlier years and what led up to you being in foster care and how that worked out for you.
Yeah. So I actually went into the system at birth. Interestingly enough, my biological mother had severe mental illness and substance uses. So I was immediately removed. Um, and so because of that, they immediately removed me from her care. And my biological father as well struggled from substance issues, so he wasn't equipped to parent as well. So I immediately went into the system looking for a home. I was even placed in the newspaper in Kansas. They have photos of kids who need to be adopted and looking for a home. And interesting enough, I remember as I got older, I was looking back. Um, I was the only black girl, and there was two Caucasian boys on, and they spoke so positive of them needing a home and needing to be nurtured. And I'm the one, she suffers from, you know, illnesses related to drug issues and stuff like that, just really painting a bad picture of your young child who just needed love.
Right.
Um, well, and because I did have some effects, I did struggle with seizures, but I grew out of it, um, related to the substances that she did use. Um, so going into the system, it took a while. I born in 91, and then my my uncle and his wife were the originally the people who adopted me,
Okay.
and she took me in. Her boys were became my brothers, my adopted brothers. Um, but unfortunately, she got an illness that led to her becoming really sick, and because of that, shortly, literally a month after her adoption is when she passed. One
Wow.
month after. 1 month after. And so I guess on her deathbed, she had told her mom, like, whatever you do, take Krista. Because, she didn't want me to go back into the system.
Right.
And she worked so hard to get me into their family. And so her mom, which is my grandmother, and I look at her as my mom because she instilled so much into me where just living with her in the time frame that I did, I am who I am because of that woman. And so she took me in, but the adoption didn't get finalized. Just different things because my uncle, he had to terminate his rights, not only with me, but with his own children because of different things that was going on in his life.
Right.
So it took some time. And so like in middle school is when my adoption with my grandmother had got, uh, finalized. I'm gonna take a pause there because I know that was a lot.
Yeah.
Part one.
Yeah, exactly. Part one. So I didn't know that things like that could even take place. So when you mentioned that you were adopted twice, my first thought was how and why. Again, because I didn't even know that those things happen that way. And I don't know if Kansas has different laws or or what, because each state has similar, but their laws regarding around foster care and adoption can vary. So I'm wondering how that happened, but now you made it clear because your first adoptive mom you know uh, got sick and passed away, then leaving you with your grandmother. So was that was considered a kinship foster care or kinship adoption?
Um, well, because I knew them, I guess technically it is kinship, in that regard. But I wasn't like I said, my adopted grandmother. We weren't related
Gotcha.
essentially
I see. I see. So it wasn't.
because
So
she
you
was my
found.
aunt through marriage, right? And then her mom was the one who
Oh.
adopted me.
Oh. I
Hmm.
see. So your uncle was your biological relative, but his wife was not. And so after she passed away, she asked her mother to adopt you.
Yes.
How old were you when all of this happened?
Well, the first adoption that was in '95, so I was about 5 years old.
Wow. And what about the second one?
It didn't get finalized till sixth grade, so I was like, they said around 11 or 12. But it also had some delays because there were also some different things that I experienced with my grandma that kind of put us on the radar with child welfare a little
Really?
bit. And so, yeah, it wasn't all peaches and cream, but there were different things that occurred, that also led to that, which different things, and that also delayed the adoption.
So, with those things that happen, when you say it wasn't all peaches and cream, was there a social worker or anyone that you can talk to say, hey, this is happening? Was there a safe space for you to talk to someone to let you know about all of those things?
Interesting. At that time, I looked at it in a bad way, right? Because something happened, but like I had ended up like getting hurt or whatever, and I think I told someone at school. Then that's when I got removed from my grandmother. So at first I was like, well, dang, I shouldn't have said nothing because now I gotta be put back in this system again and be with these people and do these things that I didn't even, you know, I didn't think it was that bad, Um, but it was also things that needed to happen, to get things together and get the adoption together. But so at the moment, I didn't feel like I had a safe space. Honestly and truly, when I think about it though, through my childhood, I don't necessarily feel I had a safe space.
Mm,
You know, I knew certain people loved me and they cared in that regard, but when it came to sharing openly how I feel and what that looks like, then talk about it,
yeah,
right? And then I think I tried, I had to, because we were under observation, which I will for, I think I had a therapist, but I I was fearful to talk because I didn't know and didn't know the safe space. Um, so similar to kind of your story, I didn't start sharing how I feel and my experiences until mid late 20s.
yeah. And it's something that most people will never understand. So here you are, 11, 12 years old, going through life, with these feelings and these suppressed emotions that you can't quite articulate because you don't feel like you have a safe space to speak to anyone about them with, and but you have to just still move on. And so, what do you do with those emotions? Was there ever a time you felt like, okay, I quit, I just want to fight everybody? Did you ever have those feelings?
Well, it kind of cut out a little bit, but I think a lot of the feelings I had, I would say I was definitely angry, frustrated. Why? This doesn't make sense. I just want a normal childhood,
Right.
and I love my grandma so much, for everything that she did for me, you know, and some of the anger that I had or outbursts with her, it wasn't her. It was like, why was I not lovable for, at that time you're trying to figure out with the experience with my biological parents that I didn't really have a relationship with. Um, and it's just like I just want to be loved.
Yeah. What were the circumstances behind why you said substance abuse, right? And then there was some mental health issues that your mom suffered from?
Correct.
What about your father?
He He was a severe alcoholic.
Gotcha. So it sounds like they were both not in the best state to actually care for a child.
Correct.
Were you their only child?
For my mom, I have a sibling on her side. I have one sister, and my dad, I was his only child.
Oh wow. So you went through life. You still thankfully thank you to grandma because it was her who guided you into what did I say? The future Dr. Christa Martinez and DST and all of these things that you currently hold. It was grandma. But
It absolutely was. It
yeah.
was. I think she she drilled in me a lot of survival skills at a very young age. Like she used to quiz me like on my social security number. What is it? Tell me. Go. All right, hey, you need to make sure this is how you take care of a bill. You know, this is what you need to do if this isn't working, or you know, work, figure out what you're gonna do. Don't depend on nobody. So you can always have your backup plan. Take care of you. I think her words that still stick with me to this day. Things you do now are going to affect your future.
Yeah.
You know, and she would say that when I was not doing so great, even when I was because I think she's seen what I couldn't see yet.
Yeah.
And she wanted me to remember that when things get tough, you're going to keep going.
Yeah. So what is your relationship now like with your biological mom and dad?
Well, my biological father passed in 2020.
I'm sorry.
Um, but prior to that, we didn't speak for a few years. I haven't really spoken to my biological mom, like a real conversation, in like, I don't know, 7 years maybe. I think there was a moment in my life when I got older and I aged out. I was like, well, I want to try to build that relationship with both of them. I was in a space where it's like, okay, like I know we didn't really have that relationship. At least let me try. But in that moment, they weren't receptive. Like I think because of them, they felt guilty, and I was doing so well, they didn't know how to relate or connect or be anything. Um, and so after trying, I'm like, well, I'm gonna focus on the people that I have in my life. And so I lean toward a lot of my friends who become family. And I call your chosen family.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the approach with them. Yeah.
Wow. So do you feel like even now in your 30s, do you feel angry toward your biological mother? Is that something, a relationship that you sort of would like to rekindle, or are you fine with things the way they are?
So the question, I just want to make sure, you said, do I feel angry?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I don't feel angry. I think I'm thankful for therapy. Helped
Yeah.
me to overcome some of the trauma that I had. I think I'm more in the space where I accept it. But I also looked at my grandmother and I had a grandfather, rest in peace, who he didn't adopt me, but he was also like a father figure um, for a moment in my life before he passed in '06. So that's a whole nother thing, but he was definitely someone that stepped up and gave me a father figure. And I, again, even though it wasn't parental, I had another uncle who I didn't meet till later in life. But through when I met him too, he just passed his past year. He became that father figure for me for that time. So God places people in your life at certain time and certain stages, and so you know I'm even thankful for him and what he taught me even up to now.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm listening to you. You could tell that you've been experienced. You've gone through the system. I mean, as a social worker for the past 11 years, did your experience as a child lead you into wanting to work in the field of social work? I mean, to see everything that you've gone through, was it that you wanted to give back and help other youth that are coming through life and walking through the same path?
Okay, so can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So I was asking if was it your childhood that led you into social work?
Absolutely. One of the main reasons, because I feel when I was like no one talked, no social worker talked to me about what's going on and why. It just kind of happened, you know. Um, and decisions were made that I didn't have I didn't have understanding to certain things of why it was happening. It just did. Um, and I was like, I still have a voice, but I didn't understand that voice
Yeah.
when I was going through it. And
Hmm.
so for me, it was like, I want to help those youth have a voice. I want to share, like, no, that's not okay. No, like, give them opportunity here because I know what it's like of not having the opportunity to speak. And so I really try to lead with allow them that exposure so they, give them this resources so they can have a better future.
Absolutely. There are, because there's currently so many foster youth, foster care alumni, who come out, and they don't come out and have the same story that you have as one who is educated. Yes, I've gone through undergrad and I received my master's. I'm currently in school to receive my doctorate. There's so many, and it's like when you see them, what is your connection to them so that they can see, hey, I'm Krista and I understand how you feel because I was there, but here's what you can do. Do you find that there's that commonality helps them hear you better?
I think it depends on the circumstances and my role within the social work lens, and and also being informed of like finding that boundary of not sharing because I'm helped to serve you. It's not about me. It's not about me and what got me here to help you, but I can advise and show you this could be a direction that can help you and give you the option to choose.
Gotcha. And it's so important that, like you said, you make it solely about the child and, speak to them in a way that they can see some positivity and that there's light at the end of the tunnel because so many times they don't see it, especially when they age out. Because when they age out, the next question could be, now what am I going to do? Now where am I going to go? So, the fact that you are able to provide them with the necessary resources and, try to stay connected with them in a way where they can see that, okay, it's important for me to stay on the right path because I know that I can come out of this. So your voice has to be told and your voice is so necessary. Was there ever a time where you felt like, I'm just going to stay quiet on this issue? Or, was it like, you know what, I know my voice is powerful, let me just speak?
Um, I think more in my upbringing, right, of not knowing and to the who to go to and speak. But as I got older, you know, through school, like I found my voice. And that gave me the courage to be more open and more fighting for, different things and to advocate. Not only for myself, but for the people that are coming after me.
Exactly. So when the people who were coming after you heard your voice, did it upset them?
No,
No.
no,
And the
no.
reason why I ask that is because a lot of times, you know, adoptive families, they don't want you to speak on the issue and what hits home for you. They'd rather see you remain quiet. But the one thing, like I say all the time, that we have that can make an impact is to use our voice. So, even now as a parent, I give my daughters room to speak to me and openly correct me and say, Mommy, I don't like it when you did this. And, you made me feel like this because we're not perfect. And it's important for them to know that it is okay to correct me. But I noticed that some adoptive families don't want to be corrected. They'd rather, you stay quiet on an issue and sweep it under the rug. So with you using your voice, just wondered if there was any pushback with, Krista, don't say that. Why are you saying this? Because a lot of times people can get that, especially coming through the system of foster care and adoption.
I, I'm the wrong one to tell me, Krista, don't say that, because I'm gonna give you my reasoning why. Um, and I have the history, and not only do I have my own personal experience, I have the clinical experience, I have the training. So I'm not telling you something that's just out of nowhere. It comes from the balance of professionalism and my own history.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
you've used those two things, your own personal experience and your education, to be able to stand flat-footed, use your voice, use your knowledge, and say, no, I know what these kids need. I'm going to help them because this is necessary. Because if not, then what? If you are not Christa Martinez to help the children where they need it most, what do you usually see that happens?
You said, say, repeat the question.
So if you are Krista Martinez and doing what it is that you do and helping out these youth, foster care alumni, and those who are in the system, what do you normally see happens with these youth if they don't use the resources that you're providing?
Mm. That saddens me the most because I see a lot of missed opportunity. Um, I see them panic. I see, well, where do I go now? Because the things that I shared with them, they didn't utilize, or the things, that we do. Hey, you might wanna,
Yeah.
but they wasn't ready for it. And that's also why I feel, some resources shouldn't end at 21 or 18, depending on what state you're in, because there's still, there's still different resources. And like I said, I, in my role as a social worker and researcher, I've heard a lot of different things. And one phrase that stuck with me, if the state knows that we either we had a forever home or we lost a forever home, we don't no longer have who were the people who in our lives who said they were going to be there.
Yeah.
If they know we don't have that, then why can't the state help with that, knowing we don't have those resources anymore?
That's the thing that I think I will forever question, because some of the things that the foster care system does is just not enough. And when you have these available resources, you have to make sure that they are provided to the right recipients who's going to take advantage of them. Because like I said, when I spoke to Lorraine Gerald last week, so many want to look at the youth like, oh, they're just bad, but they don't understand what place that comes from. They're in a position and in a situation that they didn't ask for. And so now they have to learn how to manage their new environment, these new people that they're around, this new school, opposed to providing them with therapy even at a very early age.
But here's
Because
my thing about therapy. I think you have to be ready for therapy.
that's
And
true.
sometimes in some of these incidents, um, it's thrown out there and it may not be the right therapist,
Yeah.
right? They have to repeat themselves, or they change placement and they suggest a new therapist after they just got comfortable with the other one. Um, or they may not have the experience to work with the type of trauma that youth has experienced. So then it's a mismatch in modality. So that service where it makes sense, but it's the wrong match.
Oh,
So then you still do a disservice to that child because they don't get the help that they really need.
wow. Do you find that
Oh,
that
it's happened. It's
really?
happened. It happens. Yeah.
It's my heart goes out to these kids because, like you say, they have to want it, but in some cases, it's like they don't know they need it. You
Or
know.
even if they do know, the
Oh,
insurance may not cover it.
and so then what? Right? Then what?
Then
And
they
so that's why, that's the reason why it's so important that we use our voices to bring attention to this matter. Because I've seen foster, alumni age out. I've seen how you just lose touch with them, no idea where they are, what they're doing. And so you have to wonder, like, I mean, I know every once in a while with my parents, they fostered roughly 40, give or
mm,
take. And it's like, what happened to so and so? And what happened to so and so? And then I've also seen some that have come in the wee hours of the morning. So it's like, you kind of wonder what services are being provided to the children so that they can understand what's happening in their lives. And most times, those services aren't
and
provided.
yeah, and I think too, and I've spoke to, again, other foster care alumni, but even in my thoughts as well, is that sometimes you don't heal till after you're aged out. Is that's not You don't heal then because you're still in it. As for me, I definitely tried to get therapy in my earlier 20s, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. So I quit. It was too hard. I, and then I'm gonna come back to this. But
Mm,
I realized that I needed to go later because it's for me, the things that I desire, I needed to do the work and I needed to be in a better space. And I can't get to that better space until I work on what's within me.
yeah. Wow. It's um it's a story to be told and a story to be heard. My husband is just going to try to um but it's a story to be told and it's a story to be heard, especially those who cannot understand what it is they're dealing with. So for people like you and people like myself, who have down the courage to say, yes, I can do this, and yes, I want to do this, it's so necessary that we don't stop. So I mean, I'm just thankful for the work that you're doing, for the lives that you're impacting, for the youth that you're serving, for all of those things, because it's going to factor into what happens to these young children as they age out and the emotions that they're going to continue to carry. Because the thing is, if you don't know who you truly are, luckily for you, you knew your biological parents. So many, you're like, yeah, right. But so many don't. Like I said, I know just a small part, but there's so much untold. My biological mother took some things to the grave with her, and
Hmm.
so it's like, great. Now you start to feel like I'm back at square one, because the name given of who my biological father was doesn't seem to be true. So, in those gaps and those holes that occupy a person's space does not make up who they really are. And, they don't know that. They don't understand that. And so our voices have to be told from people like
Yeah, one
yourself.
thing that I did do a couple years ago was for myself was ancestry. I
Yeah.
haven't done the blood test, but I did do the ancestry, and I was really glad that I did that because I got to see lineage that no I never knew before,
Yeah.
and how deep my roots are from Oklahoma, Tennessee to Mexico, um, but it's what I needed
Yeah.
to get some answers. I'll never know everything, and that's okay.
Right.
Um, but I know I've worked on that for sure.
You unplug the lamp, babe. But you are you are now courageous enough to tell your story, and it's so important that you do. And so even myself, I'm thankful for the work that you're doing, so that the next Christa Martinez and the next Jasmine and those who are coming out in similar situations can understand that we're okay. We can do this, and learn earlier that it's okay and it's important that they tell their stories and not carry the shame and the guilt that we've been handed, because it doesn't belong to us. And that's one of the things that I try to stress the most. The shame and the guilt does not belong to us. And so it's so necessary that we get that off of us much earlier, opposed to being in their 40s and even in their 30s, and just know that it's okay that I talk about this. I just need to talk to the right people. So for your work and the social work that you're doing, it is so imperative. And I please just don't stop.
Oh, I won't. I won't stop. The work is not done.
Yeah, yeah,
And I feel like God has given me the vision for this reason. He's given me the desire to go this far for a reason, and the legacy I want to live. You know, I want, like you said, similar. I want other people to know that there is a way. There are resources out there for you to have your own success, whatever that looks like for you.
right, exactly. Krista, again, from the beginning, I said I don't want to take a lot of your time, but your information, your work. Please share your handles with us and how we can reach you on social media and follow you and see what you're up to and how we can get involved.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Krista1913. That is my Instagram. I will be working on starting my own businesses coming up. So if you are watching my page, you'll be on the lookout for different ways to support me.
Incredible. Those who are watching who are from Maryland, you can absolutely look up her handle, see how you can get involved. She actually responds to her DMs. So everything doesn't have to be,
Business DMs.
business DMs, okay? Don't just slide in her DM trying to, ask for her phone number, because you see how pretty she is. We're not doing that. So, but Krista, thank you so much for your time. Again, we thank you so much for your work, and everything that you're doing is absolutely appreciated. Guys, once again, her handle is Christa Martinez 1913 or Krista 1913.
Krista1913.
Krista 1913. That's CHRISTA 1913. Thank you
There it
so
is.
much for watching.
Have a good evening.